Are we talking Super Bowl? Yeah, we're talking Super Bowl. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line screaming. Hello, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView FanView, the 2023. I'm looking at my numbers here. I'm reading my numbers here. It is 2/13/23. So I went 2013 and 23. Okay. So February 13th, 2023. I don't feel bad about messing that one up. That one was a little run together. And RamView FanView is brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Have questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's 661-206-6990. And or check them out at KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. So it was a good Super Bowl. It was a little bit of a letdown at the end, but it was a good Super Bowl. And, right off the top, the better team won Super Bowl 57. And I had the Eagles. I thought the Eagles had that momentum. But right off the top, the Chiefs are the better team. And I think we saw the team with the most Super Bowl experience win. They didn't get rattled. They were down early. They couldn't stop the Eagles initially at first. There was a lot of frustration, but the experience played out, right? They're playing in their third Super Bowl in 5 years. And they won the game. They were the better team. And they had the guy that made the plays in Patrick Mahomes. And the team that gave up the scoop and score and the long punt return late, that's the team that lost, and that's the team that should have lost. They should have lost that game, and they did. There's no other way around it. And here's the interesting part: Philly's up 14-7 in the second. It's 3rd and 5 from midfield, and they're moving the ball. And KC's not really stopping the Eagle offense at this point, right? We've just come off the long AJ Brown touchdown pass. They've moved the ball. They've converted short yardage. And they're ready to take control of this game. If they go down the field and they score and go up 21-7, it's a completely different ball game. But it didn't happen, right? Hurts fumbles the ball, the scoop and score did, and everything turns out different. History is rewritten. And then regarding the penalty, everyone's talked about it, and I don't want to go over what everyone else has already talked about. Regarding the penalty at the end, it's tough to argue against the call. And I get not wanting it, but when you look at it standing alone, it's not the right call. Can you say they didn't make that call all day? Yeah, I guess you could say that. And I guess apparently, looking at the stats, that call had not been made all day. And so it's a little rough, but even James Bradbury said, I did hold him. And so that is a tough one. And the game was great. It was great. And the game was like an old school Stephen King novel. I don't read Stephen King much anymore because he's just too long. But Stephen King, in his heyday, and he's still a great writer, Stephen King writes fantastic stories, has fantastic characters, takes them on fantastic journeys. But even in the Stephen King universe, people who are his biggest fans, they believe that his endings are only so. And that game was an amazing game last night. And then just to have that amazing game just kind of just slowly drip to an end, that was kind of tough to watch and digest. I'm drinking coffee out of my Rams mug. This was given to me when the Rams came back by some friends, but I don't really use it too much because Todd Gurley's gone, Tavon Austin's gone, Jared Goff on, and Chris Long never came to LA. So I don't usually use it too much. So if you want to send me a new mug, that'll be great. Quick thoughts I was jotting down while watching the Super Bowl. How many virtue boxes did the NFL have to check just to get to the kickoff? It's like they sat in Goodell's office and with the corporate execs at the networks and said, okay, we got to make sure we mention Hispanic people, Black people, Asian people, people with disabilities, gay people, this people, and we have to check all these virtue boxes so it looks like we're with everybody, right? And it was so tedious. It was brutal. You know, does anyone tuning into the Super Bowl, not in overall general, does anyone tuning in to the Super Bowl give a rat's fandero about the first all-woman Super Bowl flyover in jet planes, right? But we had to point that out. I don't care, right? And then they do this sick pandering and bring up Pat Tillman, which Pat Tillman's a special story. Pat Tillman's pretty special, but to me, as I'm watching this, and it's like, okay, we got to appeal to this group. So let's bring in and mention Pat Tillman and then talk about everything else and then bring back in Pat Tillman. I thought it was kind of interesting that my friends on both the right and the left felt that was pandering. And it really was. And for a second, I thought, are they just going to skip the kickoff and go straight to the halftime show? It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And let's just say this. Remember all the groups, all the virtue box groups and everything. I know you don't need to hear me say this, but maybe you need to hear somebody say it. The NFL doesn't care about you. They're just trying to cover all their ad bases and then fight off any psycho group that's going to come after them later and say they're racist, because racist sounds like cha-ching. You say someone's racist or discriminatory, someone's going to make some money, and that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. Getting to the other stuff, the commercials, getting that out of the way. Yeah, every time I want a pep talk, I pass out a Remy Martin, right? Wasn't Remy Martin a kicker for the Avengers? I thought that was a ridiculous commercial. And then the Caddyshack themed commercial. Yeah, I like Kenny Loggins. Okay. But the Caddyshack themed commercial, you got to do better than that. I just thought it was weak. And then do you want to comment from the minister on the He Gets Us Jesus commercials? I don't know if you want a sermon from me on that one, but Jesus is transcendent, and they minimize Jesus in those commercials. I'm sorry, they do. It's weak cheese. It's not bad. It's just weak, right? And then the other ones, guys, let me just tell you, someone who covered football for 21 years, up close, who saw people knock themselves all over the place. Flag football is one thing. You want your daughters to play in flag football leagues, and out here in California, the CIF is recognizing girls flag football. Okay, whatever. Powder puff football has now gone to a new level. Beautiful, great. But if you let your daughter play tackle football, you're a fool. Sorry, sports writers' experience here. Pee-wee football, that's one thing. That's not that big of a deal. Varsity high school football, beyond just being a kicker, right? Then you're asking for your girls to be seriously injured. Boys, revelation here. Boys are not girls. Girls are not boys. And the NFL is lying to you, okay? They're lying to you because they want your revenue. They do not care about your girls and equity and all those things. They care about, as Kramer used to say, the big mamoo, okay? Best commercial was the Breaking Bad commercial. After watching Jesse and Mr. White, I was ready to binge that show last night. I was ready to say, let's cook. Actually, I only thing I was hoping for was for Bryan Cranston to just say, no, I'm the danger, right? Have Ronnie Lott show up, or Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu knock on the door and said, I'm the danger. I'm the one who knocks. That's the only way it could have been improved. It was a great commercial. Best commercial. My friend Steve Ramirez, former sports writer too, he dubbed it the best commercial, and it was. Best part of the pregame, that was promoting segregation, racism, pride, segregation, false equality, and all those things, every virtue. The best thing to come out of that was the Chiefs coming out to their fans doing the tomahawk chop. I thought it was hilarious. And I could just see sports writers getting apoplectic because the KBM, the Kiss Butt Media, is not satisfied writing about sports. The KBM, the Kiss Butt Media, wants to feel important. So I'm sure somewhere across the internet, posting somewhere, there's some sports writer talking about how offensive the tomahawk chop was, all right? Nick Sirianni going full no Sean Marino and weeping during the national anthem. I thought that was kind of cool. To me, it just spoke of depth. There was something about that moment that he was appreciating, so that was kind of cool. Final takeaways from the Super Bowl. And again, I don't want to eat up too much of your time breaking down what you saw. It's like you watch the State of the Union address from the president, and then the other party has to tell you what you heard. You don't need me to tell you what you saw. I think we all saw that game. But Jalen Hurts is legit, right? Hope the dude stays healthy. I wasn't big on Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is legit. And yeah, score another one for Lincoln Riley, right? As far as a quarterback who could play. And he can play. I just hope he stays healthy, because of the way they run that offense, he's going to get racked, and he's going to take some bruises. Early on, I was stunned by the inability to cover Travis Kelce. I couldn't believe the Eagles. He's the only guy you really had to double up, and he was getting open. And the scheming, absolutely, giving full credit to that. But, he does have a bit of the Cooper Kupp in him. Excellent route runner. He just gets open. And so that one popped in my head. And then another one that took away watching that game, there's nothing left to be said or questioned about Patrick Mahomes. I think we saw all the flash, We see the left-handed tosses, the stuff behind the back, the pitch outs, and we have a tendency to think, oh, that's all he is. But then you see a guy with a high ankle sprain. I've only had one bad ankle sprain in my life. I did it. How did I do that? I did it. My wife was 8 months pregnant, and I'm playing basketball at the church, and I sprained my ankle. And as I went down, I broke my wrist at the same time. So my wife took me to the hospital the next day, and I'm leaning against her, and she's 8 months pregnant. And the doctor said, "Who's checking in?" And they said, "Oh, it's me." And stuff. Painful as all get out, right? And I'm sure there were some lubricants and some things injected into old Pat there to get him back on the field. But it still hurts. And the courage of that guy's a baller, man. That guy, total respect for Patrick Mahomes. He is not just flash. That is a guy. That is a man, right? That is a guy that can play. And Ndamukong Suh, right? 3 Super Bowls in the last, 4 or 5 years. 2018 with the Rams, won one with the Bucks in 20, and then appearing here with the Eagles. He's like the Michael Corleone of the NFL. Every time you think he's out, they keep pulling him back in, right? 8 seasons, right? Lions, went to the Dolphins, and looked like his career is kind of petering out. And then this back half, he's had 3 Super Bowl appearances, kind of doing a little Chris Long thing there, who won a Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Eagles in 2017. So good for Ndamukong. I got to stand next to him in the Holiday Bowl in 2009. Biggest man I ever stood next to. I have pretty strong legs. I have thighs that are pretty strong, right? His biceps look like my thighs. That is a bad dude. You know how we talk about, and I've talked about it before, there are some players that don't scare you. They strike you as posers, right? Because they're always pandering to everybody and want to look like they care. And Ndamukong Suh is a guy that he is not a poser. He's somebody that is scary, and he's a bad dude, and so he's legit. And so good for him, at least playing in another Super Bowl. Number 9 here, another takeaway was, did you know the 4 top graded defensive players for the Chiefs were Nick Bolton, second-year linebacker, drafted by the Chiefs at number 58 to rub it in on the Rams, right, in the 21 draft. And Leo Chenal, linebacker, Jalen Watson, cornerback, Trent McDuffie, cornerback. Those Leo Chenal, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie were all rookies. So I'm watching this game, and I'm thinking, gosh, that guy's another rookie? That guy's second year? All those guys. Three rookies and a second-year linebacker and Nick Bolton, who scored on the scoop and score, they're all coming back. So the Chiefs on that side of the ball just hit a home run in the draft, and that does not bode well for the Raiders, Broncos, or Bolts. That does not bode well at all. For the Eagles, I was wondering what happened to Hassan Reddick. I drank the Hassan Reddick Kool-Aid. I thought he looked great, right, against the 49ers, but against Andrew Wiley and the Chiefs, their lowest rated lineman at right tackle, Hassan Reddick completely disappeared. So between Hassan Reddick and Robert Quinn, who's aging, the Eagles might look for an upgrade on the edge for themselves going forward. The other thing that Eagles might want to think about too is getting a little younger on the offensive line. Lane Johnson's getting older. Travis Kelce, we know this was just his, 12th season? Not Travis, Jason Kelce, his 12th season. Something to think about. Pat Mahomes, this is another great thing about Mahomes. Mahomes becomes 20% of the KC salary cap next season. 46 rocks, 46 million. But he stays in that $46 million range for the next 4 years. And then I think in 2027, he balloons up to 59 million. Okay. But for the next 4 years, that is a bargain. Patrick Mahomes at 45 million average, that is a bargain. The projected salary for Geno Smith for the next 2 years is 39 rocks a year. That if you want to go out and sign Geno Smith, okay, you're going to pay 78 for 2 years. You can have Patrick Mahomes at 45 or 46 per year for the next 4 years. So the faces may change around Patrick Mahomes. You know, Travis Kelce may start to slow down. He may talk of retirement. I don't think, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or even Juju, or some of these guys are long-term for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs could end up looking for another receiver very soon. But the Chiefs aren't going anywhere. They scored in the draft, another one with Isaiah Pacheco, right? I think they got another year out of Edwards-Helaire. So this team's not going anywhere. And that's because Mahomes signed what proves to be a very team-friendly contract. And getting a glimpse of Mahomes' nature, I think he's going to be willing to restructure and do things that need to be done to keep this team on top. For the Chiefs, for the Eagles, on the other hand, it's interesting. Hurts bumps up to 4.3 next year. It's the final year of his rookie contract. So that's going to change. They have him for another year, but I got to imagine his agent is going to start pressing now so he doesn't play that last year of his contract, that they're going to bump him up now. The question will be a couple things. One, how do you give Hurts that much money if he proves to be a little bit susceptible to injury, right? Because of what they do with him. He's proven he can throw the ball. And so they might need to, I think they need to speak to him, get a good deal, guarantees his money, but also find a way to start scheming this offense so it's not so dependent on him running the ball. Because if they give him a long-term, 255-year contract or whatever, he's not going to last. And I think people are seeing that with Lamar Jackson, and they're going to be seeing it with Allen up at Josh Allen up in Buffalo, because those hits begin to take toll. So before we go to break, real quick, a couple things. RamView followers, I want to say the ones who nailed it. Mike Amade, former sports writer himself. He picked KC 35-31. Tim Peterson, who's over there at Mid-Valley Sports, he picked the Chiefs 30-27, so he had a 3-point margin. Rob Sorge, the Steeler fan who always tells me the score of games before I can watch them. He lives in Missouri, the Steeler fan living in Missouri. He picked the Chiefs 34-31, so kudos to him for picking them. Hey, real quick, as we go to break, a little bit of a break, I just got to talk about myself here, but on last Wednesday, we were live on Facebook's Mid-Valley Sports platform. This Wednesday, we're going to be live on LA Rams of Inglewood and broadcast live from that platform. The show will be downloaded and uploaded here later on to YouTube. But if you want to check us out on Facebook live, go to LA Rams of Inglewood, and we'll be live there Wednesday morning talking Ram football. And I'm kind of excited, to tell you the truth. It's like the Super Bowl kind of pushed this season, swept it away, and now we can start with some of the fresh stuff, the freshest we've got. I'm Joe Terosian, and my day job is a pastor. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Virtual, and Burbank Faith, in person, brick and mortar. And you can find us on the internet. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, as well as our website and every place else. And it's a small church, and I've been pastoring it for 23 years. But I was also a working paid sports writer for 21 years and one of the founding members of Mid-Valley Sports, which I still have good relations with. And I also write books. but I use the sports writing and the book writing to help supplement my income as a pastor. My wife can't do it all. I shouldn't ask her to do it all. So I write books, and you can find those on Amazon and also at my website, joetarosian.com. And I've written a couple of football novels, and most of them are novels, one devotional. And I just released a short story called Broomball, and that can be downloaded from Amazon Kindle. Please check that out. I got bills to pay too. So you can check that out. But that's what I do. And so I do that to supplement my income as a pastor and to keep doing and talking Ram football. So I think I got it all this time. I got it all this time. And we want to say thank you to our supporters at Kistler Law Firm. Like we said, injured in an auto accident, you need help. Catch them at 661-206-6990. That's 661-206-6990. And TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And come see them if you have an auto issue. Tell them Joe T sent you. All right. So getting to the Rams portion of this broadcast, the reports are saying Raheem Morris is not getting the Indianapolis HC gig, meaning he's not going to become the head coach of the Colts. Some are saying that's great news for the Rams. I don't know if that's great news for the Rams, right? Is that really great news for the Rams? I kind of wanted that third round compensatory pick. Yeah, for stability, it's cool. Morris is coming back, right? He's not horrible, but something on that defense has to change. That defense was just way too passive last year. And, we've talked about it. We don't need to get into it again. But that defense needs to change. The NFL has figured out that defense. When Colt McCoy, Andy Dalton, Geno Smith, when they're cooking you, when they're beating you, having incredible games, you need to look at your scheme because you've got talent. You need to look at your scheme. And speaking of that defense, one of the things the Rams didn't do last year was get to the quarterback. And, it was bad. And because everything was available for quarterbacks, in the 5 to 8 yard, range, quarterbacks got the snap and delivered the ball. And there was no time for any of our pass rush to really get in and make a difference. So let's take a look at the Rams edge performers that are returning right now. And honestly, folks, there's only two. There's really only two that you have any significant thought of or consideration to give. Leonard Floyd, who's been with the Rams now for 3 years, good player, good solid player. He played 932 snaps. He had 9 sacks, which he was in double digits the previous 2 years. But the previous 2 years, he was playing alongside Aaron Donald for a full season. And then also Von Miller joined the party late last year. And so he picked up 9 sacks. He picked it up better a little bit midseason and stuff, but it wasn't a great year for Leonard Floyd. Now, against the run, he's fine, but he's not getting to the quarterback. In the PFF grading, Pro Football Focus grading, he ranks right in the middle of the pack, 56 out of 120 edge rushers. Coming in at 59 out of 120 is Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt, undrafted free agent out of the Ivy League school, Brown, is 6'4", 310. He moved from hand in the dirt to edge, and he graded out at 59 out of 120, which for a guy that had never done that before, that was excellent work by Michael Hoyt. People liked him, very active. He had 5 sacks in 409 snaps. But Hoyt, there is a possibility that he might move back down inside if the Rams get some depth on the outside. But that's a real interesting question, is how are the Rams going to go and attain great depth? There's not a lot of that big name edge rush talent in the free agent market. There's old big name talent on the free agent market. And I don't know if you want to spend the money on those guys, right? So you got Leonard Floyd and Michael Hoyt. And behind them, you got Daniel Hardy, who played 41 snaps, Keir Thomas, who played 71 snaps, Braden Thomas, 4 snaps, and then you got Christian Roseman, who they're listing as an edge, and it's just a special team performer, and another dude named Zach Valkenburg. There's no depth. And if you think about where this team was a year ago, today, actually, Von Miller, of course, right? The Rams couldn't re-sign Von Miller. I think they wanted to, but when Buffalo came in and offered 6 years, 133 rocks, there's no way the Rams were going to match that. And Von Miller went down with a knee injury, had a close season. And so you can't fault the Rams for not bringing. the offer the Bills gave Von Miller. So scratch that. Miller came get us to the Super Bowl, helped us win a Super Bowl. Thank you very much. He only cost what in a third, right? Okay, we'll make that deal. The Rams also lost Ogbo Okoronkwo last season to free agency. Now, Ogbo was situational, 5-sack guy, kind of like the Samson Ebukam, right? Who ended up at the 49ers and is now a free agent again. But Ogbo went to Houston, and, the Rams lost him. Okay, you got a comp pick for him. Great. Also, the Rams let go. They didn't even finish the year. Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis, they didn't even finish the year with the Rams, right? They were both let go mid-season, during the season. And so this position on the edge that went from some depth with developing talent to where now it's an absolute wasteland. So Leonard Floyd and Michael Hoyt, those are the guys that are there. Maybe Daniel Hardy develops. Maybe they get somebody in the draft. And now that's where it gets interesting, because I've been looking at mock drafts. Every day I like to come and share with you names that pop up in the mock drafts. So name that popped up in the mock drafts is tight end, and it's been Dalton Kincaid out of Utah the last couple of times. Ran a mock draft, looked at it. Oregon State tight end Luke Musgrave came in for the Rams at number 36. I thought that was interesting, that without any bias or any influence on my part, Luke Musgrave shows up for the Rams at number 36. What was interesting were the edge people that were around him. At number 33, the projection is LSU's BJ Ojulari going to Houston. And at number 34, Andre Carter II of Army going to Arizona. And then at number 39, Will McDonald IV of Iowa State going to the Panthers. And I think Ojulari, Carter, and McDonald are names to keep an eye on, because they would be guys that would be available, edge rushers that would be available to the Rams at number 36. 5 edge rushers in this mock draft I looked at went in the first round. Will Anderson, Alabama, Clemson's Miles Murphy, Texas Tech's Tyree Wilson. You're not getting those guys. The Rams are not getting those guys unless they try to package something. Iowa's Luke Van Ness, Georgia's Nolan Smith. So it will be interesting to see what the Rams do. If they want to bring in a veteran, I don't know, who is that? Brandon Ingram from Miami, Jadeveon Clowney. I hear that name every year. I don't want to pay those guys any money. Some are saying bring Robert Quinn back. If he wants to come back cheap, great, bring Robert Quinn back. But the truth is there's no depth here. And so if the Rams don't take an edge player at 36, I got a feeling they're going to load up on the back end with edge guys, because or Daniel Hardy is just going to have to go through the roof, because I think he's the only one, maybe Keir Thomas, who had a nice preseason last year, are the only ones that can maybe offer some help. And if they get somebody special, maybe Michael Hoyt moves to the interior, moves back to the interior, because also what the Rams are dealing with right now is they got to make a decision on Gaines and A'Shawn Robinson. They're not going to keep both Gaines and A'Shawn Robinson, and then they're hoping Bobby Brown III will develop. Michael Hoyt can lend some depth and rotation there if he does move back inside, but then you better get something special at edge, right? So that's kind of where the Rams are at the edge spot. I know I said we'd talk about the 49ers today, and I realized I had spoken about the 49ers about 2 weeks ago, but just a quick rehash here of the 49ers, because I want to look at the teams in the NFC West. I want to look at the Raiders. I want to look at the Chargers, look at the teams that are close in geographically as well as division rivals for the Rams. And the 49ers have 11 picks, 3 on the second day, and then 8 on the third day. It's very tilted. It almost looks like the Rams draft, right? They're free agents. They're big free agents. Jimmy Ward, longtime 49er. I got to believe he's gone. He wasn't happy about being demoted. Jimmy Garoppolo, gone. And the interesting one is their right tackle, who was ranked 10th overall, is Mike McGlinchey. He's worth 10 rocks. Now, I'm not saying the Rams are interested in him, because the Rams, to go after a tackle like McGlinchey, would have to basically say either we made a huge mistake on Joseph Noteboom, or they're going to get rid of the still performing well, Rob Havenstein, and then you still don't have a left tackle. So I heard someone dreaming about McGlinchey coming to the Rams because of some familiarity, and I don't like it. Samson Ebukam is interesting because he's a free agent from the 49ers, and he was a 5-sack guy for the Rams from was that 2017 through 2020, you'd get 5 sacks out of him a year. And right now, 5 sacks looks pretty darn good at the Rams edge position. The 49ers also have the whole issue. Brock Purdy is still up in the air. I heard there was going to be surgery. Then the surgery was going to be Tommy John surgery. Then it wasn't going to be Tommy John surgery. So no one really knows yet what's going on with Brock Purdy's elbow. And as a Ram fan, I think it's marvelous because that I don't want the kid to be hurt. But what I do want is I want the 49ers in some limbo right now. He's not going to be ready to go. He's not going to get any offseason reps. So he'll be a little delayed when we get into 2023. And then Trey Lance still needs at least half a season to find out if he can even play. And so that's going to be really, really interesting going forward and good news for the Rams. Other NFL news real quick here. Does Derek Carr have the Raiders over a barrel or what? Is that awesome that he doesn't have to accept any deal? He's going to collect $40 million and then he's going to be released and he can do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants to go. And I don't think he should be doing the Raiders any favors. So good for Derek Carr. And then what's the Raiders' big plan in this? Nothing better than seeing a Raider fan. I walk into church on Sunday. I asked Matt Katikian, huge Raider fan, runs our fantasy league. And I asked him, I said, so what were you guys thinking? He goes, we're not thinking. We're not thinking. And it's like, do you really want Jimmy G as your quarterback? Because Josh McDaniels has him, right? Kyle Shanahan couldn't keep him healthy. Kyle Shanahan couldn't get him over the top. And now you're going to take Jimmy G to Las Vegas, and you're going to expect Jimmy G to deliver more than Derek Carr? I don't know. I think it's funny. Bad move by the Raiders. Okay, spotted at the Super Bowl as we come to wrap up this show. Spotted at the Super Bowl was LeBron James, and I don't really care. But will he be in Portland today with the team, right? He's expected maybe to come back one game before the All-Star break or at the All-Star break. I'm not sure. But with his team, maybe with his team scratching and clawing to make the playoffs, and they had a nice win. They had a really nice win in Oakland at San Francisco. I think that's what the stadium is now. Over the Warriors, 109-103 the other night. They had a really nice win, and the new guys looked really good. Maybe it wasn't a good look for him to be at the Super Bowl. Maybe the messaging isn't real good as my team is 26-31 and currently out of the playoffs. Maybe I shouldn't have been seen at the Super Bowl. And again, what it parlays into for me is that this Lakers season seems to be all about servicing LeBron. And really, Jeannie Buss, they talk about protecting their father's legacy. They're selling their soul to service LeBron. Because honestly, you could say you won a title in 2020. You won a tournament. You didn't win a title. If Anthony Davis and LeBron had to play a full year, the COVID year, I don't think they would have won the NBA title. Sorry, it's what I think. Okay, we've hit the 33-minute mark. I'm Joe Tarosian, and this has been RamView, inviting you to join us on Wednesday because we will be broadcasting live from the Facebook group page, LA Rams of Inglewood. And we'll be broadcasting live from that platform. You can join us live. If I see questions, I'll answer questions. And we could just talk Ram football on a Ram page. I'm really excited about it. Last week we were at Mid-Valley Sports. This Wednesday, we're going to be at the LA Rams of Inglewood group page. Thank you to Walter Berry and John Gomez for giving us this opportunity. All right. I think we're there, and we're going to bug out. God bless. Take care, and have a great day. See you Wednesday.